green screen makers hate me. I'm about to tell you secrets. They don't want you to know these secrets. You're welcome in advance. No, actually, don't even say thank you. I'm going to communicate another thing to you just with a look. Think about it. Let's talk about green screens. Even lighting, shadows, chroma key, your distance from your green screen. Let's talk about all of it. When it comes to green screens, many of us have had one and set them up, and sometimes you get good results or plausible results, enough to get going, but maybe there's like a trail of like green on the side of you, like green halo, or sometimes you'll get crumbly weirdness in the corner, like whenever you're moving your chair or something. When you see the difference between a green screen done right and a green screen that has room for improvement, you're gonna wanna do it right. You may have watched green screen guides before, but I guarantee you this one's worth it. It's not clickbait. Right, so what we're going to cover is even lighting, reducing shadows, and chroma key. Those are the three things that are going to set you on the right track to getting this looking tasty. I'm going to go through all that in a bit, but first, let's get the green screen set up, okay? So just wait right there. Okay, so my green screen setup. You thought that was going to be a montage? You thought it was going to be a montage. Yeah, don't really need a montage when you've got an Elgato green screen MT. Thank you very much, Elgato, for sponsoring this video and sending me that green screen. You saved me the hassle of having to put up my green bed sheet, which I've now actually wrapped around my chair. So Elgato, whenever you're doing bed sheets, they're not going to do bed sheets. So I've got an IKEA bed sheet. It's called Dvala, D-V-A-L-A, and it's a fitted sheet. Cost me like £5 or something like that. I used to use this as my green screen a few years back, and it worked okay because I had even lighting and I had an appropriate amount of distance between myself and my green screen. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is even lighting. Even lighting helps with the chroma key process, and it's not difficult to do. Even if you have even lighting set up without a green screen, it still looks pretty good and it can light your face pretty nicely as well. For my lighting in front of me, I am rocking a pair of Elgato key lights. The reason I really like these key lights is whenever I used to use softbox lights, I actually had these umbrella lights and I would have to get up and adjust the strength and the temperature behind them, come back down, sit in front of the camera and see if I had done something to improve it. Whereas now I can sit here, change something either on my phone through the app, the Control Center app. I can use Stream Deck to set up buttons to adjust the lighting. I can set up presets on my Stream Deck to do that. I can adjust the Control Center lighting settings on my desktop as well. Now, this isn't the only way you can control your lights remotely. You can get sets that have remote controls and even some that have smart app access, and that's great, but the integration of Elgato into everything else Elgato that I already run, it just kind of makes it a lot more appealing to me. It's a quality of life thing, so it's worth like, I would just rather sit right here. I don't want to get up. You get up. Setting your lights up position-wise is super integral to getting that even lighting set just right as well. You can't have the lights too narrow in front of you because you want to spread the light as far across the green screen canvas as possible. There's actually a really good video that Elgato put out and it's pretty straightforward. It's a key light setup video. It goes through just a lot of the different ways you can set up these key lights, and you can see the power of one key light or two or having three and what they can do for you and how to use them to do things like edge lighting, what a key light is, what a fill light is. It's a pretty useful video. I'll leave it in the description below. Go learn a thing. Oh no, wait, stay, because you're learning this thing, then go learn the other thing. Just come back, sit down. Let's continue. So usually what a lot of content creators do is they have a 2-light setup, just like what I have here. A light to the left, a light to the right, and the camera in front. If you're doing a green screen setup, that makes the most sense. So this diagram here, you can use it as a good basis as to where to put your lights initially, and then just see how that fares for you. In my setup, I don't have the lights perfectly symmetrical, but the results I'm getting are pretty good, as you saw in the intro. So I'm just adjusting some of my lights here just to see. So you can see over here, this kind of darkness, and I want to pull that out a wee bit. And you can see as I brighten this up, it does start to pull it out. If I turn that off, what a difference that makes. Like all of that seems to be like evenly lit now. I can do it over here as well. I can really, I mean, I look like I'm about to be taken up by a UFO, and I don't want that look so much. I'm okay with that. Like, that's all right. I'm gonna mess with it a wee bit more. Okay, that feels fine. I'm okay with that. I can mess with it more as time goes on. It's really just about getting a nice basis, and then once you start doing the chroma key, you can see how much you can get away with. So one of the other things I do is I actually add in a bit of edge lighting. I've got a light up here, and you can see on my hand there's like a casted cool light coming in, and you can see this here comes down. And what it actually does is you won't see it on this once we key this out, but it casts this kind of line down my side. You can position this a wee bit behind you over this kind of direction. It works pretty well, but what I did was I didn't put it in until I had my lighting set up evenly, and then I could add in a couple of extra things to just make it a wee bit nicer. It's a totally optional addition, but if you have an extra light or you want to get an extra light, the one that I'm using up here, I've done a video on it when I was talking about getting great lighting by diffusing an LED panel with grease-proof paper. That was a slow day, okay? But in that video, I show a really nice LED panel that I'm using now, and I still use it, and it costs next to nothing. Not the best, but it is affordable, so check that out. All right, the next section is reducing shadows. This ties in with previous pointers I've made about lighting, and it's because it all has to do with how shadows are cast based on the distance between the lights, you, and the green screen. When you see shadows on a green screen, Chroma Key can usually handle them. Like these gradients up here and down here, like they won't be a problem. They will get keyed out, no worries at all. But if you've got a shadow where your lights are coming towards you, they hit you first, your chair, and then your green screen is behind you in such a way that you're getting this kind of problem behind you. Whenever the key's seeing this, it's then having to try and key that, and you can see just all these shadows. So it becomes difficult. So you can see in that perfectly done example how as I got closer to the green screen, I was creating shadows left, right, and center. You don't want that. So where possible, creating distance between yourself and the green screen is really important. Now the distance between you and your lights is also important, but as long as they're hitting that green screen and keeping it evenly lit and keeping those shadows reduced to nothing, you're going to be okay. You're not going to get interference in your green screen when you chroma key it, which is what you want. So further away from your green screen is usually going to be better. Stick it about, 2 to 3 miles that way. Computer about 7 miles that way. Easy. The last point, which is chroma keying, can be a slam dunk if you get your lighting perfectly even. You'll see behind me, it's not perfect, as I've said, but just applying the chroma key, you can start to see how much extra you have to apply or take away depending on how it looks. So if we go into here and we're just going to apply the chroma key on the webcam itself, I've already got it set up here. You can see the defaults usually are 400 on similarity. So if I turn on the chroma key and turn up similarity, as time goes on, you're going to see the key disappear behind me. Now I'll just bump that up to 400. That's pretty much taken it all away. You can kind of still see my chair a little bit, and there's this kind of like green halo beside me. So what the smoothness does is it will smooth in the edges. You can see there, even just doing that a little bit, it starts to smooth things in. So that's what smoothness does. And what the key color spill reduction does, it actually reduces the green around the outside of you. So if I put this full strength, it's taken all the color out of this entirely. I put it back to default and put it up to about 120. It kind of reduces the green a little bit. So with your webcam in its own webcam scene, which I do recommend doing, and then using that scene, I'm going to explain why in a minute. Once you've got the chroma key on that, you're pretty happy with how that looks to an extent, because like it's still not perfect. Like, if I look here and I look over here to like the left and right of me, I can see, a bit of difference there. I can even see like behind me, and I can see some greens and stuff, and I can keep tweaking on this itself. But there is a tip I got from a great streamer called Carve 'em Up. I suggest you go check him out on twitch.tv/carve 'em up. Link is in the description. he told me that he uses a solid green color behind him. So he will chroma key the camera in its own webcam scene, and then he adds in a solid green source afterwards, which you can just do by right clicking, going to color source and typing in 00FF00 in the hex code. Then what he does on that is he adds a chroma key to the webcam scene. And this is what I've done. And these are my settings. Usually it's 480, 100 as default. I've put mine up to 430. Everyone's is going to be slightly different. You just got to tweak until you find it. You got to look at it. You got to look at your clothes. You got to look at your hair and just see what things you don't want, like green halos around your hair. You don't want your clothes having this kind of movement on them where the chroma key is too strong. You don't want to have like shadows cast in behind you. If I go that far back, you can't really see any shadows coming because the lights are lighting it so well. And I have a good distance between me and my green screen. So that's a cool wee tip. And then if we just go over here, you can see I am perfectly green screened.